Oh, don't mind me, I'm just cutting footage. Can you believe that? That was actually how people used to cut footage. And oh, let me just do a splice now with the new piece. Just get some of that. And done. Let me just remove the green screen from this one. Oh, but Ilya, cutting is too hard. This is how your grandfather used to cut footage. Oh, but my grandfather was actually an accountant. Did I ask that? Did I ask that, Johnny? You have a computer at your hand right now that is like 1,000 times better than the stuff we used to put people on the moon. And the editing software that you're using for free, DaVinci Resolve, the best editing software on the planet, used to be like $60,000 a day for editing. And you're complaining. What's that about? Here are 10 tips to make your editing better. Cut that. What's that intro? What is that, like 2016 Peter McKinnon or what? I am Gen Z. So we do our intros a different way. What, you don't think I'm Gen Z just because I'm bald and look like a 37-year-old father of two? My hair started to fall off when I was 18. But you know what I say to that? Imagine needing a second light source. Alright, so the first tip is going to be organizing your footage. If I catch any of you just having one big folder with all the sound effects, music, videos, logos, everything in one place, or even worse, spread through multiple drives, I'm gonna beat you up. The first thing you should do, even before opening DaVinci Resolve, obviously the best software on the planet, is organize your footage. Create different folders that work for you, put all your footage in one folder, all your music in another, and so on and so forth until it is obvious where everything goes. Then after that, while you're editing, you're probably going to need to download more assets and more music or whatever. Just put it there and then from the folder, drag it into DaVinci. That ensures that you'll always know exactly where your footage is and you'll never get that red exclamation mark of pain. After you've done that, you can open up DaVinci, click on Create New Project, name it however you'd like. So now once you're inside of DaVinci Resolve, go to the Media tab on the bottom left and then navigate to your footage, right click and select Import into Timeline, Create Bins. This is going to keep your folder structure and everything organized. Alternatively, you can just drag all your folders here on the edit page and it's going to do the exact same thing. After that, I suggest creating a timeline. For that, I usually like to create a new bin where all my timelines go. Why I use more than one, you're gonna learn towards the end of the video. And then right click, New Timeline, Timeline Settings, uncheck the box that says Project Settings and choose whatever you like. My clips for this example are gonna be 4K, so that's what I'm going to choose, and 60 frames per second. Now hit create. Now that you've set up everything in DaVinci Resolve, you've got your footage, you've got your timeline, let's fix this playback. It's extremely frustrating when you're trying to work and this is the type of playback you're getting. Here's how you can fix it. My computer is pretty beefy, but don't ever let your computer stop you from creating amazing videos. I started on a 150 euro laptop, so the first thing that you can do is lower your timeline proxy resolution. This is going to essentially lower it by half or third, and the quality isn't gonna be as good, but you're most probably looking at it on a monitor that big, so it's probably not that big of a deal, and it's going to drastically improve your playback. Of course, this isn't the best for color grading, but for general editing, it's awesome. Also, you can go to DaVinci Resolve preferences, and if you have a GPU, make sure it's selected and not your processor, and also leave everything else on auto. I personally like to dedicate all of my RAM to my DaVinci, so that's what I'm doing here. So with these simple tweaks done, you know that your DaVinci is somewhat optimized and now we can start editing. Alright, so the first and the most basic cut of every edit is just the cut. So you got one clip and another and you just cut between them. This is what creates 90% of cuts in movies, but we're YouTubers, we're better than that. So let me show you a few basic cuts that are gonna help you with your editing. The first one is what's called an L cut, because it looks like an L. The idea is if you have two videos like this, the first one you've got this stream of water that is very noisy, and then you've got this scene that is relatively quiet, what you can do is just extend the lower clip a little bit and then just put it up against the other one, and this kind of eases in the transition between the two clips and sounds a lot more natural, and you're kind of ready for it. The other thing you can do is just add a little cross dissolve. What this does, it's a little audio transition between the clips where it just merges the two sounds together. That's why you can't put it on the end of the clip, because it needs a little bit more before that. After you have completed that, you should have a lot more natural transition. And of course, if the quiet scene is in the beginning, you can also do what's called a J-cut, which is the same but the other way around. So you just extend a little bit of the audio with the reverb in this case, or whatever you want to show, and then put it up against it, and then it forms a little J, and it helps prepare the viewer for the upcoming cut. For all of these cuts, it's really important to make them as smooth as possible, so play around, see what works, what doesn't, and of course always use audio transitions so the cut isn't too harsh. Alright, now that you've learned how to do a J and an L cut, let's actually edit a whole cinematic sequence. And one of the best and easiest ways to do that is to cut to the beat. For this, choose an audio track that suits your scene, get your music from your folder, drag it into the timeline, and as you can see, there are peaks in the music, and you can just cut the videos to those peaks, and it will naturally create a sequence that's pleasant to look at. Alright, so for this I want to introduce you to the trim tool. It's located right next to the select tool, and what it does basically, when you go to the end of a clip and drag it around, it's gonna push and pull everything that goes after it to match the length of the clip. Using that in combination with the select and cut tool, you can just cut up the videos to match these peaks in the audio, and it's going to create a very pleasant, albeit a little bit of a basic edit. If you want to spice things up a little bit, you can let some of the clips go for 2 measures, so twice as long as the other ones, or even 2/3 of the way, so you cut on the downbeat of the music, and that's gonna create a little bit more intrigue. This is a really easy way to just create a really cool cinematic sequence. If you have a talking head like this one, and then I wanted to show some action, you can use that. Just put on a badass rock song, cut it to the beat, you're gonna look like a way better editor than you actually are. Now that you have made some progress in your editing and you have a pretty busy timeline, I'm gonna save you a lot of time. Duplicate your timeline with the exact date and time of when you have done it, and then keep working on your main timeline. That way, it's like quick saving in a game. If at any point you do something irreversible to your footage and you want to go back, you have a snapshot where you can safely load up from there and continue your work. The next tip is going to be cut to the action. This can mean 2 different things, and I'm gonna break them down for you now. I would really love it if you subscribe. This is a brand new channel and I plan to be very consistent on it. You can hold me accountable for that. But yeah, as you can see, I'm trying to create the best videos that I can for you to learn DaVinci. If you subscribed and left a comment in the comment section down below of exactly what you would want to see next, I would greatly appreciate that. Let's now talk about cutting on the action. There is a saying that you can notice a very bad editor and a very, very good editor, but a good editor goes unnoticed. That is basically the whole premise. We have a video here of a beautiful girl tying her shoelaces, and we have a wide shot and a tight shot. And we can just cut out exactly when her hands are over her shoes, and then put them together. When people are watching, they can't even see that you made a cut there, because the action is continuous and it looks like just one shot. Also, here's another example of the same beautiful girl drinking coffee. You just see the bottle going up and then a tighter shot of it going down. Cut off the access at the exact point, tweak it around a little bit, and it now looks seamless. Another way to use something like that is, remember when we cut to the beat, you find the beat and then you find a point in the story where something happens. A hammer hits something, or someone receives a punch, or something that you can line up with the beat. And just to show that you don't need a punch or a hammer, here's just a video of the girl doing this with her backpack, which can still be used to put on the beat and make the edit feel a lot more purposeful. "90% of most Hollywood movies and cinema in general is shot from a tripod. Yes, we do have a lot of action scenes, we do have a lot of crazy stuff that we look at and we like because we're filmmakers, but most of it happens on a tripod. But we are YouTubers. So we have to have everything moving around, stuff falling from the sky. You know, people that are watching TikTok are watching YouTube. So you gotta do everything in your power to get their attention. Jokes aside though, it's really important to actually have some movement in shots, and when it's done tastefully, I think it's a great addition to any edit. You can see this static shot of the girl walking away from the camera. We can just go to the inspector tab and just animate the zoom and position in the beginning, and then at the end of the clip, smooth it out from here, and you have this subtle little zoom that's going in, and it looks like a dolly shot. Another place that we can use that quite effectively is with a very large shot, where you can just track a subject across the frame in this manner. You can also, of course, tweak it a lot. As you can see here in the beginning, it's just way too slow, then it's way too big, but it doesn't matter. The end result is move the keyframes, adjust the easing in and out of them, but it should look like there was a cameraman just following the girl around. Another thing you can do with footage, especially when you're working with 6K or 4K footage, is reframe it, either to match the rule of thirds or maybe to eye trace. What is eye trace? Well, there's always a focal point in the edit where viewers' eyes are gonna be. If the next shot, the subject is in a different location, people have to look around at the video to find the subject, which can get very tiring very fast, especially if you're doing a really fast cuts in a cinematic sequence. So the best thing to do in this situation is to just crop in on one of the shots and at least somewhat match their position in the frame, so your viewer's eyes can gradually go through shots and see exactly where the subject is. And even if you want to be very advanced, if you want to move subject's eyes from one corner to the other, you can use 2 shots in between to just transition there. Of course, this is all very subtle stuff, but when you do it all together, maybe people wouldn't actually consciously notice this, but subconsciously they'll see that the edit is seamless and smooth. And for the end, I decided to save something a little bit more advanced, and that is speed ramping. Speed ramping is a great way to really flex your editing muscles and make something really cool, but it needs to be done tastefully. Of course, I would actually like to do it with motion blur and a lot more detail. We're gonna have to shelve that idea for another video, because we're already a lot of minutes into this one, but I'm gonna show you the basics. So we have these 3 clips here that I shot in camera to go together with one another, but they're of course at different speeds, and we need to adjust them to make a good speed ramp. So put all the clips one after another, and then use the retime curves at a speed point where the clip needs to speed up, and then drag the remainder of the clip to speed it up or slow it down, just like this. After that is done, you can go to the next clip and do the same thing, this time at a speed point where the transition needs to stop, and then drag the beginning to speed it up. After that, put one next to the other, compare the speeds, make any adjustments if needed, and it should look something like this. Now, to smooth it out, open the retime curve and then just click here and then here to smooth it out and make it as best as you can. And while we're here, this is a perfect place to talk about sound effects. Sound effects can be used very effectively where you have rapid motion like this, exactly like a speed ramp. So I have a couple of sound effects here, I'm gonna put them in between the transitions. And then pro tip, I like to lower their pitch a lot, so they sound a lot better. It's not like a flash animation from 2012 where they have That's exactly, if you know, you know. Lower the pitch a little bit, lower the volume a lot, and when you put a little bit of music as well, here's the final result. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching this video, I really appreciate it. But all those tips are just the basics. Tune in next week when I'm gonna go a little bit more in depth about talking with clients and developing your skill further. Thanks again, please subscribe and have a great day. Bye.